Welcome back to Earth Station Trek, a show where we trek from the early days on NBC to the future on Paramount Plus and everywhere in between. I'm Charles Kelso, and it's my privilege to introduce the Earth Station Trek crew. Keith Johnson.
The love I feel is brighter than your darkness.
Alan Seiler.
I'm on it like a comet, CK.
And Veronica Dashel.
Hi, I had a great idea for a closing and no one used it, so I'm very excited.
Oh, good.
Let's see if I remember it by the end of the episode.
I thought you were gonna say I did. And Charles, I just said I did. And I have like three quick things for history that'll take 30 seconds. Whenever I can insert it.
I'm gonna time you.
All right,
I'm gonna time you. Clock starts now.
Real quick, and everybody knows this, but I can't get by without saying this, and everybody knows this. September 8th, 1964, first draft for The Cage is submitted. The same year, I think this is cool because the original outline Gene Roddenberry typed out was written on March 11th of that same year. 1964, The Cage, and as they say, the rest is history. 2 years later, which is a quick turnaround for an incredibly new, innovative show, September 8th, 1966, as we all know, in America, The Man Trap premieres. Mm-hmm. Not the first show filmed, but the first show aired. Roddenberry hated that because it was more like a horror show, and that's not what he wanted Star Trek to represent. Mm-hmm. Officially, Star Trek debuted on TV on September 6th in Canada. And the last thing, and I'm out, 1973, ironically, the same day, and a few years later, Beyond the Farthest Star premiered on NBC, the first of the animated shows.
That's right.
And that's this week in Star Trek history.
You did it. You must have rehearsed it ahead of time to get it right at.
Yes.
When you said you had no Star Trek history for this week, and I was like, okay.
I know, right?
Star Trek debuted, but okay.
Yeah,
exactly.
Nothing happened.
Well, before we get into the season finale of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, we had some Star Trek debuts this week.
Hang on. Just real quick.
Sure.
Matt says that they finished the finale with minutes to spare.
Same here.
Mark says hello to everybody.
Hit it.
And Matt also says this is a momentous week in Star Trek history.
That's right.
Yes, it is. It is the momentumous.
Mm-hmm.
There's been momentum.
Yeah. Well, it's momentous because Star Trek Scouts premiered this week, right?
Not from your review. I read.
So if anybody's not familiar, this is a new preschool-aged Star Trek animated show that's Nickelodeon co-production and is available on YouTube. And the episodes are 4 minutes long. And we have the first two already.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or we've seen the first one twice. We're not really 100% sure.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Exactly right.
So my problem with this, and I think it's a really cute show. I like the concept. They have thrown everything, any kind of sort of teeny tiny minuscule science thing, like not even out the window, but like off the planet. It's just gone.
Well, you say you like the concept. Could you explain the concept to me?
So the concept is there's these kids and they're pretending to be space captains.
Are they?
So that in my mind is what the concept is supposed to be.
Okay.
And they're pretending to be space captains.
Right.
And so they're having all these weird things, but that's not what they're presenting it as. So these kids are like, hey, meatballs fly in space.
Yeah,
I'm going to throw a fork at it.
Wait, what? Just to describe it. Keith, you've not seen this.
Yes.
So
No,
imagine,
Yes. There's a soap asteroid.
Imagine there's a space colony. And the only people on the space colony, it seems, are 3 children. JR, Sprocket, and Rue, who seem like sort of takeoffs on Kirk, Spock, and Uhura if they were little kids. Sprocket also has a robot arm.
Yes.
There's a command chair with a joystick in the middle of this little domed building.
Okay.
And every episode, there's some kind of little hijinks going on in the beginning where she's added rocket boots to JR's boots and he'll fly around for a minute, or they turned off the gravity in the space colony apparently and they float around for a minute. But then there's an alert. Hey, wait, give me a second. And something is like approaching, right? There's like an object approaching, and it will be an object such as a bar of soap or a meatball. What? And they have to determine the correct item to use. They have sort of a transporter / beam that transports an object they have into a beam.
Wow.
So it could impact the right. And so they might try launching a shoe at the bar of soap and that doesn't work. Or they might
Stop sign at the meatball.
A stop sign at the meatball. Or they might try to launch the macaroni and cheese, but oh no, the macaroni and cheese is missing. But then they find a targ who has cheesy burps, and they've
What? Oh, wow.
For both episodes is an asteroid is heading straight for us.
Wow.
Where I thought when I clicked on the link to open episode 2, it had actually opened episode 1 because they were identical.
Amazing. So what's the point?
The point is to get little kids interested in Star Trek.
The point is to learn, grow, and boldly go.
And that.
And they have no concept of what gravity actually is. They were literally swimming through the gravity. That's not how gravity works in space. Like, read Ender's Game. Come on.
Do you think it will actually work at all to bring people into Star Trek?
Yes, because people have already said their kids love it.
Well, great.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love it if the kids love it. I don't mean to, it's kind of weird to be a 44-year-old guy crapping on a preschool kid show, right? But I mean, I've got a daughter.
Would you have liked this when Emily was like
no,
2?
That's my point. I've got a daughter, and I've endured wonderful preschool shows, terrible preschool shows, mind-numbing preschool shows. I watched all of them. Also, I mean, we're puppeteers. We perform for preschoolers quite a bit. Like, we put together shows and perform them for preschoolers. But just with this, it's nonsensical. There's nothing to me that seems educational about it. I mean, I like the idea of learn, grow, boldly go. I like Veronica's idea better. Your premise was better if it was kids like in a daycare on the Enterprise D. There's a daycare on the Enterprise D.
Oh, yeah.
They could be pretending to be starship captains, and oh no, the boot's coming, and give it a framing device so you right.
Exactly.
That would work.
Oh,
that would
kind
work.
of like Muppet Babies.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah, exactly right. But yeah, I mean, I don't really get what it's trying to do. Preschoolers can watch like Sesame Street, and Sesame Street at least is trying to teach you the alphabets or dealing with your feelings or whatever the case may be. I just didn't really get what this one was going for. It just, the whole thing is a little bit strange.
Yeah. So here's a couple of comments. Elaine says, preschoolers can't read Ender's Game.
They can have it read to them.
That's true. Matt says, Charles watched these, so we didn't have to. But on the other side, we're joined by Wanda M tonight. And Wanda thought it was adorable. Not canon, but she thought it was adorable.
I agree with both. I do think the character designs are cute.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like the idea of Kirk, Spock, and Uhura babies.
Yes.
And the animation looks good. I don't have any problem with that. It just
absolutely.
I don't know.
I do love the robot arm.
Yeah, I just think
that's cool.
I think there's more you could have got out of a preschool show.
Yeah.
At least try to. I don't know. I mean, firing the bucket of water at the soap bar to me isn't educational content.
And then bubbles come down raining from outside.
Here's the thing.
Or meatballs fall from the sky.
Yes. Here's the thing for me. Both of these episodes, the setup was an asteroid is coming right for us. Had the premise been an asteroid is heading for Beta Z or something, and have it be a lesson about the importance of helping other people, then it becomes not only a moral education, but it becomes much more Star Trek-y. It becomes, this is our mission. We are here to help. We are here to protect. And it is important to us that other people are protected and are safe.
Sure.
And that gives you a moral. There's no morality to this except for, stop sign at the meatball. So I think it has a lot of potential. I just don't think that these two episodes show what that potential could be.
Sure.
And it's cute. I
even would have
cute.
liked this better if the asteroid was made of ice and they had to learn to fire heat at it. At least that would be something that to me would have more educational content. You know what I mean?
If they had fired heat at the meatball and cooked it and had dinner, amazing.
There you go.
Real quick, because I'm going to post this. I was reading after Charles posted what he posted about it, and Alan commented. I read a couple things online. Slash Film wrote something I thought was it's a very long article, but the summary from Slash Film says, when a franchise tries to be all things to all people, it tends to lose its shape, direction, tone, or central message. It instead becomes a merchandise empire or a business model. Ultimately, the current handlers of the Star Trek franchise wanted to be something else. They took an ordinarily stuffy, thoughtful, philosophical property and layered in lots of firefights and death, turning much of it into an action show. But now with Scouts, they only seem to be making creative decisions for mercenary purposes. That's Slash Film.
No,
I thought it was a kid's show. for
I
for
mean,
money.
you could apply everything that's said in that article to Star Wars, because Star Wars
Mm.
hits every age group. They have things that hit every age group, and they have done it for a long, long time,
Very successfully.
very successfully. And yes, you want to sell merchandise, but at the same time, what you want to do is grow an audience. And that's what Star Wars has done incredibly successfully. And that's what I have been saying for 8 million years that Star Trek needs to be doing. And they finally kind of gotten into that with this show and with Prodigy.
I think with Prodigy, yeah.
So,
Prodigy, good
you
job.
know, I think they're on the right path. They just got to get there.
Yeah, but I mean, Star Wars didn't they reached all audiences with just Star Wars before they started with the animated shows and all that kind of stuff. Like kids love Star Wars, adults love Star Wars when it was just Star Wars.
That's true. That
and
is
Star
true.
Trek had the same thing where I watched Star Trek with my parents and my grandparents, and all age groups could watch Star Trek. But I guess it's maybe more a product of the media landscape we're in today. I mean, they did start like the kiddie Star Trek stuff a bit with the animated series. But even then, the animated series, like Gene Roddenberry was very determined not to make it like two kids and a dog going on space adventures. It was Star Trek, but as a cartoon, right?
I think Star Trek fundamentally doesn't lend itself to being a kids show unless you have kids who like that kind of stuff. I watched it when I was 6, but I don't think it's a kiddie show because it doesn't typically have the cute robots and the cute toys and the cute animals. So I don't know that Star Trek by its original nature is a really young kid show. But as you guys are saying, it can be. Just sounds like sometimes they don't have the good writing behind it. It's kind of like Short Tracks was supposed to be, you know, a short track, and it was like, ooh, you just took a concept and didn't do anything with it.
You're talking about very short tracks?
Thank you. Yeah, very short. Right, I forgot about that.
Short tracks.
The short tracks were great.
Yeah, very short.
When they
tracks.
shortened the short ones, it got terrible.
Yeah, they were not very great.
Elaine asks if this is better than Caillou.
I never
seen Caillou. I have no idea.
I watched Caillou many a time, and I never minded Caillou. But even something like this is more akin to something like Dora in tone, I think.
Okay.
But even with Dora, I mean, Dora teaches you words, and you know, Dora's looking at the map and asking how to get around on the map. It's silly, and it's a kid's world, but it's still, you know, can you say vomitos? Vomitos, you know, and I don't know how much. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Right.
And about the merchandising, they don't know how to merchandise at all whatsoever. If they knew how to merchandise, Prodigy would have had actual figures in the stores when it came out. Star Trek Scouts would have had all these characters in the stores. There would have been plushies of all those little cute creatures. Yeah. And you know what? Those cute little creatures, any Star Trek fan would have brought them up.
Sure.
Because they're adorable. I want a little stuffed targ that's blue with a little green tuft of hair. That's adorable.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But they don't know how to merchandise, and I don't understand why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Star Trek merchandising is turned towards adult collectors now.
Yeah.
But that's a whole different thing. You know, we could go on a rabbit hole.
We could go a whole episode on that again.
We could do a show all about merchandising. We should do that.
Write that down.
Write it down, Keith.
All right.
I got it.
All right. So we want to move on over to Star Trek Con.
Yes.
Okay. I actually was pleasantly surprised by Star Trek Con.
Yeah, it was really good.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Yes, it was so well done.
Mm-hmm.
The production on it is excellent. The cast is fantastic. Naveen Andrews, who people mostly know from Lost, is playing Khan here. Fantastic.
So good.
And slightly infuriating because back when J.J. Abrams was making Into Darkness, and obviously he had worked with Naveen Andrews on Lost, and Naveen Andrews was a big fan casting. Like the fans wanted Naveen Andrews for Khan, and we didn't get it. And now we hear him as Khan, and he's great.
Yes.
It's like we told you.
You're right.
Listen to the fans, Star Trek.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think he's wonderful.
Yes. And I think that this is written by Kristen Beyer and I just forgot his name.
Is it David Mack?
David Mack, who are very successful writers who have written Star Trek before. They've both got Star Trek novels out there. They know what they're doing. And I feel like they really have laid an origin for a great story here. And Khan is being treated like the morally complex character that he is.
Yes.
And I think it's fantastic.
And Marlon McGivers is being treated as a more complex character.
Yes.
which is odd. It's just a retcon because obviously
is.
she's a bit different from the Marlon MacGyvers that we knew from Spacey. They're giving her a little more depth and a little more reason for wanting to be with Khan as a historian, because
Yes.
this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity for her to, hear like from a Napoleon or a Genghis Khan, like in their own words, alive, and to record it. And so for a historian, what better opportunity? Now in the show, that's not the primary reason she joined Khan, right? And committed treason against the Enterprise crew.
Yeah.
But no, I thought that they did a wonderful job, both the actors and the writing. And you could tell, I mean, even if you didn't know who David Mack or Kirsten Beyer were, they threw in a retcon for why there was a bunch of children on the Botany Bay that can grow up to be Khan's disciples in Star Trek 2. So when there's a retcon like that, it's a real Star Trek fan that's writing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Mark says this show could be teaching. Oh, this is about scouts.
Yeah.
This show could be teaching basic science concepts kids at the target age could understand, like air pressure and leverage.
Mhm.
Excellent point.
Mhm.
And Matt says, I want to see baby Spock driven into the desert to prove he's Vulcan and being bullied by his peers.
I want to see Sprocket go through the Khan Swan.
Yes. And I do want to know how he got his little robot arm. I think that is so cute. I love it.
Yeah.
Matt also says, how are the episodes of Khan available? They are available on any podcast platform where you would normally get your content.
Mhm.
So wherever
And
you
YouTube.
listen to, say, modern musicology, you will find Star Trek Khan.
Yeah, or YouTube. I'm not sure if they have them on Paramount Plus or not, but
I
you
don't
can
think
for sure
so.
find them.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't really need it on Paramount Plus. I mean, it's on
No.
YouTube, which is helpful, but I'm going to listen to it while I'm driving anyway. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And what did you think about the framing device?
Oh, loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
I think it's such an interesting, it takes you a little bit back in time when Sulu was still the captain of the Excelsior. And we back to that episode from Voyager where we learned that Tuvok was one of his crew members as an ensign. And of course, Tim Russ was in the Star Trek movie. You saw him, so they kind of retconned it as that was actually Tuvok.
Well, he was in Generations.
In Generations,
Yeah.
yes. That's what I mean.
Yeah. And I like that they gave Sulu a reason for wanting to go back to SETI Alpha 5, because the historian in question is sort of challenging Kirk's role and the redacted logs, and sort of insinuating that, or outright saying that Kirk left Khan on SETI Alpha 5 knowing that SETI Alpha 6 was going to be destroyed. So obviously Sulu's got a motivation to take her there, to clear Kirk's name, because Sulu was there. He knows what went down.
Right. I thought it was really, really excellent. I thought the whole thing was well done. The framing device was great. Even some of the ancillary characters, around Khan's little clan
Mhm.
were really good. I really enjoyed the challenge to Khan's rule.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You've promised us all this stuff and you haven't gotten us anywhere except for on this stupid abandoned rock, kind of thing. And I really enjoyed that. And I enjoyed seeing that moment where Khan shows you what a charismatic person he is by bringing those people in line. But there's a twist to that later in the episode, and loved it.
Yeah, and I love that they added it. I don't want to get too spoilery now that I know that a lot of the folks haven't watched it yet. But I love that there's
Listen
a
to
twist that sort of gives you a different explanation, and perhaps a reason that Khan might have taken MacGyvers with him in the first place.
Yes.
Beyond just a woman, right? I don't know. I don't want to get too into it, but it's good. I thought the whole thing is very well done and very listenable.
I don't know how many episodes total will there be.
I think it's 9.
Okay.
Yeah. So one's out so far, and I think it's going to be weekly for 9 episodes.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. It was very much looking forward to the second episode.
Yeah. And maybe we can get a little more spoilery next week, or I won't be here next week, but maybe next time we can get some thoughts from Keith as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Either that or after all 9 are out, then we'll just do a whole whatever.
Sure. Okay.
We can do whatever we want from this point on.
They did a pretty good job on September 8th. There was a lot of stuff coming out and a lot of new content, which was kind of cool,
Yeah.
And we got an announcement that there's going to be Star Trek Legos for the first time.
Right.
Oh,
I forgot
yeah.
about that.
Yes.
Yes, that is excellent. Except
Yeah.
for I don't need to get sucked into Legos.
I know. I don't either.
Ugh.
I was when I first heard that, I was like, is it actual Legos or is it a Star Trek Lego movie? Because that's a big thing now.
Yeah.
Is Lego movies.
I wouldn't rule that out in the future, but for
No,
now,
because the animation they did for Picard,
Mhm.
the Picard character, I was like, oh no, this is gonna be Star Trek
right.
Lego something.
Right. I mean, there are Star Trek Batman TV shows and all kinds of stuff. So I fully expect that Lego is going to capitalize on this partnership and move into those areas. I fully expect that. It might be a few years before it happens, but I think we will definitely see Star Trek Lego films or shows or both.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing.
You know, I'd be totally behind like a TNG Star Trek Legos series because you could still have the original actors voice them.
That's true.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
That is true. So our buddy Wayne has joined us. He says, "What did I miss?" And then he discovers Star
No.
Trek Legos.
That's Mark.
Oh, sorry. Okay, fine. Then
Wayne was building a bed.
Wayne was building a bed. Well, good
Yes.
to know.
Mhm.
We're all
Well,
going to come over.
The good
and
news,
sleep.
Lane, is that we're recording this, so you're welcome to go back and listen to the
Right.
whole thing.
And about Star Trek Legos, Mark says, "Take my Latinum."
Yeah, I'm too collectory, I think, to
Yeah.
to get into Legos now.
Yeah.
I'll have to own all the Legos.
Exactly.
I have the off-brand Stargate Legos. They're still sitting in the exact same box I got them in, but I have them nice and displayed in shelves.
Elaine says, if they come out with a Lego Star Trek movie, we might get their son Carter into Trek.
Okay.
Hey, that's how you do it.
Sure.
And Matt says, I want Lego Star Trek video games. That will happen. I guarantee that's on the docket somehow. So
Wayne, Wayne, if you've seen Star Trek Scouts, which we talked about, let us know what you think about it at our group. And Star Trek Con, one episode of the podcast out, and everybody here is raving about it. So I can't wait to listen to that tonight. I have it downloaded.
Yeah, it's good.
Great.
And then just real quick, there was also the news that came out today that Paramount Skydance wants to bid to buy Warner Brothers Discovery.
Jeez.
Yeah. I mean, it took so long for this merger to happen. And now as soon as it does, as soon as they're like fire the starting pistol, they're like, I want to buy something else.
Right.
Yeah.
Really?
I'm just never a fan of putting too much stuff in the same umbrella.
Yeah, there's already too many conglomerates.
Yeah, I
where
agree.
other people own everything.
Yeah.
It never works out well.
No.
Right.
Okay. Wayne says Scouts. So to catch everybody up super quickly without going into detail, we have a new animated series called Scouts for the preschool age and a new dramatic podcast, a scripted podcast called Star Trek Con. And that's what the first part of our show has been about.
Right.
Those two amazing things.
All right. Well, do we want to go ahead and take a quick break? And then when we come back, get into the season finale of Star Trek Strange New Worlds?
I think that sounds like a plan.
Yep. All right.
Hi, I'm Gina Shock from the Go-Go's, fabulous drummer of the Go-Go's.
Hi, this is Tony Levin of King Crimson.
Hi, this is David Fisher for the Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp.
Hi, this is Richard Evans. I am the author of Listening to the Music the Machines Make.
Hi, this is Teresa Kariakis, punk rock photographer.
Hi, I'm Tom Beaujour, author of Nothing But a Good Time, and you are listening to Modern Musicology.
Modern Musicology.
Modern Musicology.
You're listening to Modern Musicology, so, pay attention. You might learn something.
And we're back and talking about the season finale of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, New Life and New Civilizations.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. So what do we think?
Nah.
I thought it was aggressively fine.
Aggressively fine.
Somewhat disappointing, rushed in pacing, too much stuff crammed into one episode we'll get into it, with a poignant moment or poignant scene that I don't think belonged in the episode. Didn't fit well. So it was okay. It was okay. That's all I can really say.
Yeah, Alan, you were talking a few weeks ago about how this show is very much like it focuses on the characters and really the plot is only there to give the character moments, you know. And I thought this was a good example of that. Aside from the fact there's a Doctor Who reference in this episode, the episode itself felt very RTD Doctor Who-y to me, where you have these aliens from before there was evil, who are the original evil. It's our destiny to stop them, and you're the chosen one who's gonna become the thing. And we're gonna have a brief interlude where we have a fantasy life that we'll never have, but we'll always cherish. Like that could have been David Tennant, you know.
And it felt so much like it, even the door knocking, which is kind of cool, but it still felt.
The door knocking.
The door knocking.
The Doctor Who fan working on this thing.
100%.
Yeah. Keith, you're the science guy. Can you explain the science for me in this one?
I was completely lost, and that was what threw me. Like, she turned into the statue, and then they sent his transporter signal. It seems across the signal of Corby's transponder using ley lines that I have completely forgotten they even mentioned, which of course, as people may know, ley lines are lines of magical power that usually crawl across the surface of the earth, but evidently they discovered that ley lines extend out of a planet across the universe. I literally don't know where that came from. And then it took them 11 hours to get to the planet to chase them in high warp, yet they somehow sent Gamble's signature across the signal to Corby, I guess in a couple of seconds. I was lost. I was truly lost in this thing.
You didn't even mention how the different DNAs turned her into a statue that protects the universe from evil.
Yeah, because all the aliens, races, whoever fought against these people, they put all their DNA.
A genetic memory.
And I hate to go here, but it's one of these. You have to suspend disbelief to do fantasy and science fiction, but if it's not written well, you lose your disbelief. I'm kind of thinking if they had all this technology and all this stuff, and they put it in a statue. But couldn't they still have some people running around that could fight it, like automated systems, robots, or anything? It seems real weird that somebody has to stumble to this thing and be turned into a living statue to fight the creatures. It seemed really weird. I think another thing I was going to do at the end, but another thing I think that also didn't help, even though it may not change my overall feeling, this should have been a 2-part episode or TV movie, because the original thing where they discovered those creatures, remember when Gamble got killed and then at the end the screen was flickering, it would have landed a little better to me if this had been a 2-parter and all the emotional oomph they wanted me to feel was run together instead of interspersing it with other stuff, including some comedic shows. It didn't flow well to me.
Well, but the problem there is that they want you to think that Gamble is gone, and they want you to think that you're never going to see him again, and then they pull the rug out from, or they not like anybody of us didn't see that coming, but you know, that they want to kind of set it up like, you know, which means we'll I'm sure see Pike's squeeze again. What's her name?
Marie.
Patel.
I expected to see the creature, but I thought the creature would sort of inhabit somebody else. I didn't expect the creature to use the transporter to use like his backup information to generate a new Gamble, which is kind of worrying. You could have the backup information for everybody in that thing. You could just be spitting out clones of everybody.
Right. Veronica, what do you think?
I really despised the Spock and Kirk mind meld.
Really?
Yes, I agree. We'll get to that too.
Oh,
you go to why you despise it now, but I agree too.
It's like they're like, this is the reason they're so close and buddy. Not that they like built a friendship up over years and of shared experiences. That hand wavy mind meld, and now they know everything about each other and they're all buddy.
Exactly.
This episode felt to me like they weren't confident in season 4 that getting picked up. Like they weren't sure, and that let's get ourselves to a finishing point where we can still continue on if we get picked up. But
I can see that.
We'll fast track the Kirk Spock thing. We'll fast track the Patel thing. You know what I mean? Like it seemed like it put them in a place where Pike will have a bit where Pike accepts his destiny, so that if this is it, we're landing at a good spot.
That's a great point. I didn't think about that when I was watching it, but that fits completely.
And I don't know how the dates work out as far as when they got to pick up and when they, you know what I mean?
But they filmed this so long ago.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So they had to
well
have
over
not
a
had
year
the
ago.
Yeah, so they hadn't got the renew order by that point, I'm sure.
Yeah, because they had just finished filming season 3 right before Last Dragon Con.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so here's a stack of comments.
Okay.
Matt Sweatman says, why doesn't Pike and Company arrange to rendezvous with the Farragut with its captain?
In my notes, same thing, man. It's like, why are they talking to Kirk and he got a captain right there?
Because they can't get the person who played the captain back.
But she was in the chair at the end of the show, or at least the facsimile of her.
They didn't want to pay her for more than one episode. That's what it is.
Yeah, that drove me bonkers too.
Yep. Wayne says, good thing you mentioned Evil. I thought I had watched a different finale.
No, you didn't, Wayne. You
Mark
did not.
says, the door knocking seemed so out of place for 23rd century.
So I wasn't out of place for me, because to me it was like that cabin in the middle of nowhere from the very first episode of Strange New Worlds. That's where they were at. So there wasn't like that technology there.
Yes.
Every captain in Starfleet history has this thing for the past, and living in cabins and riding horses and living in homes that have no technology. Obvious.
I could see that though. If you live for years in an artificial environment on a starship,
oh sure,
you might long to go chop some wood and fish. You know?
Build your own front door for people
Right.
to knock on. Wanda calls this hand wavy science for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fully agreed. Matt says, I enjoyed the fantasy future of Pike and Marie, but didn't care for the episode otherwise.
That's exactly what I said earlier, Matt. It was that was the poignant moment I mentioned that felt weird for this episode. Poignant scene, but it didn't fit this episode. Very frustrating.
Wanda tells us that she suspended disbelief for much of this season. Let's see. Elaine says Marie was regenerating. Her hands were glowing with Artron energy. Yep. Wanda says that mind meld was a bit cringy. And yes, the writers said they were sure about season 4.
They said.
Right.
They said.
To real quick get out the way, because Veronica also mentioned a mind meld. And again, I know people like me are why they sometimes abandon canon, because they can't stand people who know canon. I get it. But I have a hard time reconciling this Spock and this mind melds with the Spock of Dagger of the Mind, who was McCoy had to force him to mind meld with Dr. Van Gelder.
Right.
And he even said in there, I must now use an ancient Vulcan technique, as if, you know what, maybe it's the first time he did it outside of his own people. And it was a huge deal. McCoy had to say, basically, you might have to save Jim. And in this show, he's like, hey, mind meld. I can mind meld in the bar right here with you.
Right.
Let's go.
In public.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And
But
it's
also, go ahead.
but to your point, also the original series, he also said it's a deeply personal thing to the Vulcan people. So he wouldn't mind meld with Kirk out in the middle of a bar.
Also, if you need to telepathically bond with somebody on the Farragut, the captain's a Vulcan.
Yeah.
Yes.
That might make more sense.
What an idea. Yeah.
But also, I mean, then they made jokes at the end about how they're sharing memories now, and yet Kirk still doesn't know apparently that Spock's dad's the ambassador, or that he has a fiance, or that he has a brother, or all the other things that Spock never told him about.
Right. Also, when a couple people talked about the science, again, we have said this a million times, and I think my feeling about Star Trek Strange New Worlds will come down like what Alan said. It's a show about relationships, not about a military exploratory service. And what Charles, you had mentioned, I had written down too, which is they write the shows they want to write, not the shows that they write that make sense. Because bottom line, all the hand wavy about the phasers aligning, you don't need a mind meld for that. I don't care what they're saying, folks. You all, at worst case, you link the computers on those two ships to get a synchronized beam. You do not need to mind meld. It's like they're like, oh, let's do a mind meld. That made no sense at all. I mean, literally no sense at all.
Well,
that you have to mind meld.
but they did at least say that it has to be done manually. It can't be done by computer. Why can't it be done by computer? I don't know.
Makes no sense.
They did say, they at least did build that into their explanation.
Yeah.
Before you even started on this tirade, Matt had commented the mind meld was this week's Keith is going to hate this moment.
It is, because it felt contrived. It honestly
did.
felt contrived. Yeah. And it's fun. And again, I'm going to say this for a billion times. I like Paul Wesley as Kirk. I literally have no problem with that actor. It's just how he keeps getting used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wayne says the only comment I have was about the beautiful milieu at the first scene of the planet. I frankly was blown away. I agree.
Fantastic
Agree.
aliens
That
there.
was spectacular.
Agree, Wayne.
Costuming and makeup like hit it out of the park.
Yeah, the costuming
Right.
department brought their A game again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked
absolutely.
good. Yeah.
And
That's where they spend their entire budget.
And we watch a lot of Star Trek, and yet we've
Mhm.
been impressed several times this season by the costuming.
Yeah.
And this is not obviously the first sci-fi show we've ever seen, right? So they're doing something right, that they're catching our attention, and I think that's great.
Exactly.
And I also want to give them props for this episode that the Vesda didn't turn out to be anything we've seen before. It didn't turn out to be Regex people or the Organians or the Metrons or something. You know what I mean? Which everything on the show tends to sort of tie back into something from the original series or from Star Trek generally. So I mean, kudos to them. I really appreciate that this was just something new they created.
Absolutely.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Wanda says, I saw an interview with the writers today. Sorry, I keep losing it on my screen because people keep commenting. I saw an interview with writers today, and they didn't know about renewal until they were in production. Yeah. Wayne says, the Spock and Kirk meld, I'm going to pretend that didn't happen. Elaine says, I thought the opening scenes of the planet reminded me of a high-quality video game. Very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Our buddy Michael Phillips says, the Kirk stuff is so contrived, it's ridiculous. I mean, why is he meeting with the Enterprise crew instead of his captain? It makes no sense.
And it's starting to get funny that the Farragut's always the only other Federation ship in the immediate area. I mean, if they're part of the same general fleet, maybe they'd be around each other, but there's no other ship around.
It's like when they were doing the latter part of the Next Gen movies, when Worf was on DS9 and they had to just come up with some stupid reason to have Worf included in the TNG movies.
That was great. Yeah, like the Defiant.
Insurrection. Well, Insurrection, they didn't even try. They're just like, Worf, what are you doing here? And then cut away before he could answer.
And he's like, well, you see. And Picard's like, we don't have time for explanations right now. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
That's great.
Mark says, I rarely blame an actor. They are just working. It is writing and direction that I target.
Sure.
And finally, Michael says, the pacing felt really off in this episode. It felt slow in some moments and yet rushed to a conclusion.
Agree, Michael. That's what I said earlier. It felt rushed. It felt strangely rushed. Also, Mark said something very interesting I was going to comment on. Charles, you posted a thing I had read too about the young lady, the lady who played the Klingon who wanted vengeance against Mbinga.
Yeah.
In that episode about with the Klingon zombies, was this shuttle to Kinfori. And I think that's a good thing to publish stuff like that, because at the end of the day, these actors are people who are really loving it, getting paid, having a great time. And so I try never to hate the actors or even frankly the showrunners, you know, because they're doing the best they can. I just may not love it. I think it's always good to see actors. She was so excited about doing that. I didn't really love that episode or her character, but it's great to see the person behind it. I think that you need to keep that kind of contact.
Yeah. Talking about what Klingon she remembers and how hard it was to learn. And that's the kind of stuff that's really exciting.
Yeah.
And I liked in this episode that they went to a cool new planet.
They went to a strange world.
Yep. Which is kind of we're building up, right? Because in this season alone, they went to a planet where there was nobody but zombies, and then they went to a planet where there was one guy, and now they went to a planet where there's a bunch of people, and now maybe next season we'll talk to some of them.
Right.
Find out about the culture.
You're asking so much.
Yeah, I do think the reason this stuff it feels rushed, and I was saying it should have been a two-parter. Alan was mentioning they wanted to give us time to kind of have a little suspense build up. I do think that the reason this feels rushed, both pacing of the show and just the whole concept, is again they only have 10 episodes, and when you take one episode for Wedding Bell Blues and you take another episode for 4.5 Vulcans, whether I like those or not is even immaterial. You're taking time away for stuff, concepts like this to me percolate and develop fully. And so I think that 10 episode season hurts them. But then when they keep doing this weird bipolar thing where they're really comedic one minute and then they're trying to be serious and dramatic the other, it's hurting how the whole season feels overall. That's a problem for me.
But at the same time, when you have a show like Discovery that is so heavily serialized that you don't get any variety and it's serious every week, with no variety to what they're offering, I think this is actually better in some ways than the Discovery approach.
Yeah, it might be the tonal shift. Might be the incredibly silly to the incredibly dramatic. Because I'm getting whiplash.
Yeah. Oh, I get that. I think the
Yeah.
silly goes too far to the silly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll get more into this in a couple of weeks when we do our season recap. But
Mhm.
I felt like the balance was more successful for me last season
Yeah.
because at least in the
Yeah.
straight episodes we were getting a little heavier content, like
Yeah.
Right.
at Astra per Aspera or the
Right.
King on War one, where we're getting some meat for the characters and some
Agreed.
social parallels and all that kind of stuff. And then, okay, great. Next week we'll go run around with Boimler, and then we'll get, you know what I mean? So
Right.
to me, it just felt like you're getting a little more meat on the bone last year than we've gotten this year. This year is just even the episodes that are sort of playing it more straight and serious just haven't felt as weighty to me. Maybe that's
I agree. No,
except for that one. There was one that we all really liked and thought it was going to be our favorite of the season.
Okay.
Anyway,
yeah.
I'm gonna have to rewatch the entire series.
We're talking about Terrarium, where Ortegas was stranded on the planet.
No, we are not talking about that. Matt says this was a strange new world, at least.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Michael says, on the positive side, I really like the strange new world and the aliens. Good world building.
Yeah, agreed.
Michael also agrees with Keith. The gimmick stuff is taking away from a nice involved story arc and the unified POV. Yeah.
Alan, you said something very interesting about the comedic stuff. And I will tell you this. I listen to and read a ton of stuff online about Star Trek, and I listen to a lot of podcasts YouTube reviews. The number of people who love this stuff, the 4.5 Vulcans, is huge. And I will tell you, a huge percentage are obviously very young, some who've never seen Star Trek before, some of them who barely know TNG. So for those people, it works.
That's fine. I'm glad it does work for. You have to play to a wide audience,
right?
Yeah, I'm happy for anybody who watches Star Trek and likes it.
Yeah.
I don't have a grudge against any Star Trek or any Star Trek fans.
Yeah,
I mean, we've talked plenty of times on the show how I don't care for Enterprise, and you guys really do. But I don't get mad that you guys like Enterprise. You know what I mean? Like, I was listening to a podcast about Enterprise today. I'm happy for people who enjoy it, and I enjoy Strange New World. I end up complaining about it a lot, but it's because I care about it and I'm critical.
Right.
Same here. Same here.
But I mean, I don't ever want to feel like I'm hating on the show or hating on current Star Trek or anything like that, because I get up at 4 a.m. to watch it every time, you know.
Yes, he does.
Which is good, because today I got the opportunity to watch it twice, which I usually do, and I noticed in this time, I don't know if anyone else has had a chance to watch it twice, but if you do, watch the inhabitants of the planet, because they seem, in a lot of scenes, like just disconnected from what's going on with our main characters, even to the point where you have that final sequence where they're like Battelle and Pike are going to the portal, they're firing dual phaser beams from space, and there's aliens over here just having a conversation.
Yeah, that was so odd.
Like, you wouldn't think, you'd be like, what the hey?
Right.
What's going on over there?
Or at least duck.
Right.
Something. React in some kind of way.
Right. It was very strange.
It was very strange, I will say. A couple of comments, and then I got a point I want to make. Mark says, can we talk about number one's party outfit?
And Chapel.
Yeah. And Matt says, I agree, Mark. Also liked Chapel's different hair.
Yeah.
We are really into the deep stuff now.
Did she dye her hair a different color to go to the planet?
That's what it looked like.
I didn't
It was
know.
like
Because
orange.
it was like red.
Oh.
And then I thought, like, oh, I didn't even notice this whole episode she had red hair. And then when she's back on the ship and she had blonde hair again, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I guess it's the 23rd century. She could probably boop, boop.
Exactly. I mean, when they turned into Vulcans, they all had different hair immediately. So there's probably just the serum she injected herself with to produce a different hair.
Derived from redheads.
Exactly.
I didn't notice if she had any redhead personality traits. I'll have to watch for that next time.
Wow. Elaine says, what Keith said about the younger folks liking all Star Trek or all Strange New Worlds kind of reminds me of the old Who fans and the new Who fans a little. I was thinking the same thing, Elaine, but this is a Star Trek podcast, so I try not to bring Doctor Who up too much.
I want to say
Unless they directly reference it.
I didn't catch a reference this week.
Really? It was Pelia.
Yeah,
And
the
the
Doctor
opening
Who
scene-
thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
What did she
she's like,
say?
She's like, don't forget, I'll tell you about the time when I traveled with a time traveling doctor.
what? How did
Yeah.
I not hear
That was
that?
in the
Yeah,
party.
it was real quick. She said it
Yeah.
real fast. But
It
yeah,
was
that
very
it.
early. Maybe I was trying to get breakfast while I was
And in a
watching.
previous episode, they put a TARDIS in the background.
Oh, I saw
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But of course,
Anyway.
I was just happy that it gave me an idea for a puppet show at DragonCon next year. Pelio with the Doctor.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes, you have to do that.
Right.
That's
I'll say
amazing.
one quick
Since
thing
you
on
haven't,
Elaine.
since you have an actress who has played Pelia right next
Yes,
to you.
there you go. I'll say one quick thing about Elaine's comments, and Charles, you said something too. I never want to be the guy who hates on Star Trek, because I never will be, and I don't hate the Star Trek. But I will say this. This is a weird thing to say, especially for people who are new to Star Trek. They would enjoy it just as much if they hewed a little more closely to Star Trek and the canon, because they wouldn't know any different.
Right.
So, for example, you can still be funny and be a little bit less, what they're doing. And so, for those who don't know, of course, they don't know. So they don't even know sometimes what we're griping about. Like, me and Michael saying, Jesus Christ, another mind meld. They're like, whatever, that's really cool. Well, little things like that. But one thing I do want to do, because when you said that, as I said, pricked me in my heart, I really want to give it the praise. I will say, even though I don't think it fit, weirdly, in this episode, the stuff with Patel and Pike was truly touching and poignant. It genuinely got to me. It genuinely got to me. And you guys know, I hate the fact that he knows his future. I hate that fact. But it was poignant. They were good acting. And maybe I'm a sucker for her. Let's face it, in stories like that, somebody always dies on the bed and the other person is there. But it was still kind of poignant to see that. It just didn't fit that episode to me. I don't know why. It just didn't. Also, again, that felt rushed. It felt rushed.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded an episode with Pike and Patel growing old. In an
Yeah.
alternate universe together.
Right. Right. We
And
kind
like
of
we didn't know it was an alternate universe. We just thought that this was like
We'd have
the
figured
next
it out.
episode.
Oh yeah.
Well, we would have figured it out. We wouldn't have known from like the moment it
I
started.
can't believe Pike's gonna be 90 from now on.
Okay, so here's the thing. This episode reminded me of, and I don't really like that much when Star Trek gets too much into the mysticism thing. This reminded me very much of the Pa Wraith story arc in DS9 season 7.
Same
And
here.
as much as I love DS9, I did not like that Pa Wraith subplot. And the whole thing that they did with Kai Wynn and all that nonsense. I just didn't like it. And there was one episode in that last stretch of 10 where it was like almost exclusively Pa Wraith stuff. And I was like, oh God, get this over with. This kind of had that same thing to me, where they don't even have to try and have scientific explanations for things, because they can just make up stuff and it works according to whatever it is they're doing. And it's, she is the statue. The statue is her. It was just, I don't know. It's just not a thing that I enjoy in Star Trek.
Yeah, I also did, since I was like 17, I haven't liked the fact that Cisco found out his mother was inhabited by a prophet, and it was, like it's the same kind of the same like magical stuff, destiny and that kind of stuff that I also don't care for. I don't mind destiny in the sense like the prophets are outside of space and time and knew that Cisco would be there, but I didn't like that he finds out that he's descended from a prophet, and it felt tacked on DS9 way back then. And you're right, this episode had a lot of those similar vibes.
Yeah.
And for instance, like with Mbenga's life story or an incident from his childhood being written on the plaque that's been there, which I've watched it twice and I still don't really follow what happened there.
Right.
Again, I'll say all that stuff was too much crammed into one final episode. And that's my problem, because you're right. They ran by Mbenga's story. They ran by the alternate life so fast. I felt they rushed it. I wish they'd drawn this out more.
Sure.
Oh, the one thing that I did really like, it was mentioned earlier by one of the commenters, I think it was Mark, that I did like, and that was in that sequence where you see Pike and Patel playing out their lives, was that recurring knock on the door. It's, it's fate. It's that never ending pursuit of fate. And, it's like the Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, da 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 dum, has always been said that was representative of the fate knocking on the door. Like there's like death, no matter how much you try and escape it, death somehow is going to catch up with you. And I really, really liked that. I thought that was a really good reminder that yes, this is something that is not happening, because Pike's fate, and in fact, at this point, Batel's fate is absolutely still there. And I thought that was really cool. I thought it was really well done. Yes, it may be anachronistic for 23rd century, but I didn't find it that way at all, especially since they're in the remote cabin. And I thought it was a really good use of that sort of like classic motif.
Yeah, I don't even mind that it feels a little bit anachronistic for Star Trek, because it's supposed to be jarring. Like it is coming from the outside, right? It's sort of disturbing his vision reality or whatever was happening.
Right.
It's funny, and Elaine, not to spoil too much for you from Deep Space Nine, but there is an episode where someone gets possessed by basically the good spirit, and someone gets possessed by the bad spirit. So that definitely felt like it. And it's funny because I actually love the spirituality of the pirates and the Jesus Christ, the prophets.
Wormhole aliens.
Yeah, and I actually love all that. So the mysticism doesn't bother me too much, but again, it just I'm not joking. When I was watching the show and I watched it and I kept going, is this it? And I actually, one thing I never do, which you can do, like when you're in a mystery or something and you look at the time and they got 5 minutes, so I try never to see how much time is left. But when they start wrapping it up, I have to look and go, oh crap, they've only got 6 minutes left. Because I really thought this is way too, there was too much crammed in at the end. And that so frustrated me. And then the thing with the chess and Spock, if I had less of a stubborn streak, I'd just give up at this point with all the callbacks to the original series. But it's just getting old. It really is.
Perhaps we will serve on a ship together someday.
You think?
Like
we're going to become friends.
All the starships. Yeah, like absolutely.
That's on the same level as like one of these days they'll have holographic doctors from Enterprise.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get some comments to wrap us up. Michael says, I didn't hate anything this season, including 4.5 Vulcans, but it has been a wee bit mediocre of late.
Agreed.
Wayne says, I'm watching that episode as soon as this cast is over. How could I have missed the TARDIS?
It's very
well, it's very hard to see.
Freeze frame it.
Yeah.
And what else did I miss?
That's the only 2 Doctor Who references I know of.
You missed the Stargate reference and the Babylon 5 reference in that same episode.
You missed the first amazing show.
Matt says, DS9, why do you think Elaine and I are rushing through TNG season 6? Because you have to get to the good series.
Alternate.
Yes. Michael says, some of it did feel a bit like Moffat era Who, the statue is her stuff. Yeah. And bringing it to a close, Mark says, I like mysticism in sci-fi. There is more out there than science can explain. Agreed. And I totally get that.
Until it can. That's what science does.
Yep.
Yes.
One day it should be able to explain it.
Right. Anyway, so yeah, that was a whole season of Star Trek.
Yeah, and we'll sort of go back over the season in a couple of weeks when we do our sort of look back at season 3. But yeah, I mean, I didn't hate this episode or anything like that. I didn't get angry watching it. There was a lot of eye rolling, and there was some stuff that I thought was rushed through, like you say. And but I mean, I enjoy the characters, and so the character scenes I do typically enjoy.
Anytime I can spend an hour with these characters, I'm happy.
Yeah.
And that's really what it comes down to. I will say, though, that I don't think this was as good as last season's finale, which I really enjoyed.
Okay.
But it was a lot more tense and actiony and gorny and,
right.
Batel getting infested. And it was so good. This one, it was all right.
Yeah, I did get a little annoyed that with Pike standing nearby while the season finale was resolved. Because he spent the final scenes standing nearby while the season finale was resolved.
But that's indicative of what we've seen from that character this whole damn season.
Yeah.
And, we complained last year that he was missing from a lot of the season, but it's because it, interfered with his wife having a baby and he had to be home with the baby. And that's fine. That's totally fine. Sure. But this year, it's all up to the writers that he was constantly sidelined in his own show, and I'm ready for a Pike centric show. By golly,
This
Yeah.
is funny. I was going to say this. My wife came in and watched this episode with me, and she has watched exactly one episode of this season, which was this one. And at the end, I said, "What do you think?" And she goes, "Well, I haven't watched it as much as you." She goes, "But it feels like Pike is not relevant." That's what she came away with. She goes, "And he doesn't seem to have a driving personality." And she goes, "He just seems he's been pushed to the side a little too much," which is
It's
weird.
so funny because when he was introduced in
I
Discovery,
know.
he had a driving personality.
Yeah.
He
Yes.
had charisma.
Yeah.
He was a strong force of a man. What happened to that
Yeah,
guy?
Yeah.
like, we all demanded a Pike show.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
like the entire Star Trek fandom was united for the first time in years that we love Captain Pike.
And now what are they doing with him?
I don't know.
Our season wrap up is going to be very interesting. I keep texting myself when I have ideas, thoughts, because I want to be able to crystallize all this to the stuff, because there's a lot here. And I think a couple of people said it the best, which is, and all of we said, I don't hate this thing, which is great. I mean, it's great. I truly enjoy it. I could watch every episode of this series so far, except for that Elysium thing and Wedding Bell Blues, which I never want to see again. But other than that, I like the show. So it's not that, and that's actually good.
Right. And I don't care if it's good, bad, mediocre Star Trek. I still love Star Trek.
Yeah, same
I still
here.
have a good time. I mean, I can go back and watch reruns of Voyager and, whatever else, even season 1 of TNG. I've been watching season 1 of TNG at bedtime now, and I'm just having the best time with it, mostly for nostalgia and just how different everything was back then as far as production. And I can watch any Star Trek and I'm a happy boy.
And I will say that because every day I watch a show like this, that night or the next day, it's like what stays with me. And I can tell you what is staying with me is the stuff with Pike and Patel in that alternate reality, whose existence I actually kind of don't like, but it's staying with me. And him and number 1 talking at the end, and the look on Anson Mount's face.
Yeah.
That was a wonderful scene.
Yeah.
Wonderful scene. Wow. And then you can see that's his friend. We don't get enough of that too. That's his friend, his confidant.
That's right.
His counselor. That was a great little scene with those two.
Yeah. But that, you used a very particular word there, Keith. That scene where he is dealing with his grief.
Yeah.
That right there is the reason why you need a counselor on your starship.
Yep.
Yeah. Very true. Because that's some messed up stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Alan, where can people find more of you?
Ooh, you could go to cosmiccreative.com, and that is spelled KOZMIC creative.com. And you can see all the information about the 2 new books that I have coming out, hopefully soon. If I can get the second one polished off and rounded up, and it's going to be out in the world. I was hoping it would be by this Saturday, when I will be spending my day at the Georgia Indie Book Fair, which is, you go to my website and you'll find it there. But it's in Marietta, and we've done it for the last couple of years, and it's a great show, and it's all independent authors, and we have some vendors, and we have some panels and stuff like that. It's so much fun. Come and discover your favorite new author. And I was hoping to have these 2 books done in time for that, but nope, not quite. So I'm just going to get it done as soon as I can after this.
And the best part about the Georgia Indie Book Fair is that it's near our house.
Yes.
I love when
That's
things are
true.
near our house.
It's right next to my office.
Wow.
And if you were to come to the Georgia Indie Book Fair, you could pick up a copy of our book.
Ooh.
Ooh, we have
Star
more
Trek.
copies available?
Yeah. The Earth Station Trek Guide to Star Trek. Explore the Trekverse in a whole new way with us. Come get that book. It's great.
Yes, please. All right, Keith, where can people find more of you?
You can find me on Facebook, primarily the ESO Network Facebook groups.
And how about us, Veronica?
Feltnerdy.com.
And
Monkeying Around, a podcast about the monkeys.
that's right. And also, join us on April 27th. We'll be live and in person at Infinite Realities in Tucker, Georgia. All 4 of us as
April?
a group. Oh, what did I say?
September.
September 27th. When am I? Time
I
doesn't
don't
write
know.
any
When you
meeting.
said April, I thought you were going to talk about Stellar Fest.
No, I forgot where I was. Saturday, September 27th, we'll be at Infinite Realities. We'll do a live podcast, The Infinite Realities of Star Trek. We'll have copies of our book on hand. So please come out and join us in Tucker, Georgia.
Yep. And before we go, I put up basically title slides for every one of the shows that we talked about, but I completely forgot to put my one up for Strange New Worlds. So there it is.
Awesome.
Okay, that's all.
All right, Veronica, do you have a closing for us this week?
Like Ortega said, let's light this candle.
There you go.
Hey.
Yes. Well done.
Well, join us on Thursday evenings. We'll be next week. I think we'll have Matt and Elaine Sweatman from Land of Matt to Watch TV talking about the 6th season of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and then the following week we'll be talking about season 3 of Strange New Worlds. Looking back at it, that's Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern here on YouTube or after the fact on your favorite podcast platform. And thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
See y'all next Thursday.
Learn, grow, and boldly go.